All right, welcome to the new vlog. This is the last episode of this series, and so far pretty good. So that's good news compared to the previous series. So it is a Sunday. It's actually Easter, so not sure if it's going to be that busy or not. Usually it's only 1-3. I'm filming today because it is the last day of the month, so just whatever day falls on that was going to be the filming day. So most likely to be some 1-3. So let's head in there, focus, try to play our best, and hopefully run good as well. All right, let's try to end this series strong. As expected, it seems like 1-3 is going on, so I buy him for 300, extra 2 in case I need to add on. Hopefully not. We head over to the table, and our first hand is 10 for off, so of course we fold, but we already get a decent hand since the next one is king, queen off, and under than 2, under than 1 limb, so I make it $15. You get a cutoff button, small blind, big blind, under than 1 to call. So at least we know it's a good table. Flop 6 ace 3. So yeah, so multi-way ace high board. People love to play aces, so I'm definitely not gonna try to bluff. I check, checks around. Turn is ace 7. Under than 1 bets $22, and everybody folds. Ace 9 off, ace 5 off. Now I chain C to get a better view, and I have to straddle since if not, I'd have to wait a hand, and yeah, I don't want to wait. And we get a pretty shitty one for the straddle, 9-4 off, so I do not defend, let it go when someone raises. Now in a big blind with a6 suited, low jack limp, small blind calls, so I make it $20, and they both call. Flop, king, queen, 10, so we got a gut shot, back to a flush shot, but out of position. I mostly check, so that is what I do. It checks around, turn is a queen, small blind bet $16, and I just fold. And low jack did call, small blind had a king. Let's see if we can do better with 9-8 suited in the small blind. There's one limper, but it makes it $6. That is super small. I definitely consider 3-betting here. I mean, maybe I should. I honestly would prefer having a smaller suited connector, because one of the worst hands I have is 8-9 against a strong range, because a lot of times if you hit the bottom end of a straight, ace king have a straight as well. So that is just a little factor. But anyways, not sure about what's up with the raise. I decide just to call. Now the big blind 3-bets himself and makes it 20, and the button folds. So on to me, super weird spot. Definitely haven't been here before. I usually never double flat, but what am I going to do? He made it such a small size with a decent hand. I do flick in the call, even though 3-bets are super strong in 1-3, but yeah, for that price, I call. Flop is promising. King, 3, jack. We have a flush draw. I check. He bets $25. And yeah, with a flush draw, I'm not going anywhere. I do call. Turn is nice. It's a 9 that I definitely don't think is good. But if he has a hand like aces, ace, king, now we have extra outs to trips and 2 pair apart from our flush draw. So when he bets $50, we are definitely getting a price is to hit the 2 pair trips or flush draw. So I do call. Sadly, river is a 5, so we completely miss. I check, he checks back, and as expected, we're no good against pocket aces. But no time to rest, since very next hand, we're going to play it again. I got pocket 6s in the button. There's 3 limpers. I make $25, and under the gun and under the gun 2 call. Flop, 7, 3, 10. Under the gun 2 leads for $25, which is 50 behind. So, yeah. I just let it go. Ace 9 off, queen jack off. I just let it go when the low jack raises. And now we have another one. 10-9 suited in the low jack. There's a button straddle, 3 limpers. So let's raise this up. And we got to do it pretty big with all the limpers and straddle. I make it $40. And it seems like this is going to be a multi-way session, since even making it $40, playing 1-3-6, we get the small blind button and under the gun to call. So already pretty massive pot for how deep we are in this game. Hopefully we can hit. Flop 9 deuce 4. Let's go. Top pair 10 kicker. Pretty good, and especially since I don't think anybody's going to have an overpair above the 9 that just limped. And definitely we could be behind if someone just limp call with a suited 9, like ace 9, king 9, jack 9, queen 9. But the pot's already so big for how much the other players have behind that. If we're behind, it just is what it is. And I'm going to bet here. I make it $60, and everybody just folds. So I'll definitely take it. A decent little profit on the flop. Let's move on to 5-3 off. 6-7 suited, under than 1, under the gun straddle, and a bunch of short stacks. These small suited connectors when we're so shallow, it's just not the most profitable spot. So I do just let it go. 7-5 off. Now we got 10-5 suited in the big blind. We see a free flop, miss, and fold. Jack 8 off. King 10 off in a button. 2 limpers. So Definitely could still be raising, but I do have to be a little tighter. I think still raising it is fine in the button, but in the moment I do let it go. Queen 4 off, and now we have a better one. Ace Jack off and a hijack. Under the limps, I make it $15 and get a small blind, big blind, under the call. So once again, pretty multi-way to a Queen 4 Jack flop. Not the worst. Middle pair, best kicker, but when under the leads for $20, definitely not loving it. But on to us. Sometimes people lead with weak hands, even middle pair, that could be still worse than ours. Just seeing where they're at, and as well their straight draws. So I don't think I could fold yet. I do call, blinds fold, turn is a 4, and now when he bets $45, yeah, now this just seems mostly like a top pair hand, and I don't want to give him any more money. So I do just let it go. And once again, we're getting a bunch of hands since I'm straddling, and we have ace-6 suited under 2 blind raises to 12, button small blind call, and super weird spot. I mean, I should still be 3-betting here, but I mean, I think so, but just the callers in between, people are very passive. So for sure, I think they could have strong hands, like even like ace queen, ace king. People just want to see flops. So I was a little worried about the callers in between, that I do decide just to be safe and call. And flop is promising 10-5-3. We have the nut flush draw out of position. I check. Turn is a king. So definitely not the best turn card, since all of them could have a king. If it was an undercard to the board, I definitely feel a lot happier just barreling, since most likely someone will bet a 10. But in the moment with the nut flush draw, I decided to bet myself. I made $20 and only under than 2 calls. River is a jack. Definitely interesting spot. Not loving it, since under than 2 is next to act 4 ways, but this player, he can be pretty loose, and he's the one that blind raised. So for sure, I think he may be calling a flop with a 10-5-3. Or, I mean, we don't need other hands to fold since we're beating any random draw with our ace. But I do think he'd be calling at least once after checked around the flop with any pair. And when the jack comes out, now it's 2 overcards to that pair. He did say bink when the jack came, but whatever. Let's try to get all those pairs worse than the king to fold. I'm going to get $55. And he raises to 155. So, yeah, what are you going to do? I just let it go. And he shows us queen 9 off. So, indeed, he binked the gut shot on the turn and gets rewarded for blind raising. Let's move on to the next hand. That is 8-3 suited in the big blind under than 1. Is at $10, and he gets 2 callers. And I should just be folding here. I don't know what I was doing, honestly. I think for the most part, I'm pretty good at being strict with my strategy. But in this moment, I do flick in a call. We missed a flop. Someone bets and we fold. And yeah, definitely could have saved myself $7 there. But let's move on. 6-5 off, 10-4 off, queen 5 off, king 8 off. Now in the big blind again, 5-handed with 8-4 off. And don't worry, I'm not defending my blind. Cut off, button, limp, small blind calls. And let's see a free flop. I check. And we get a big blind special. Flop is queen 8-4, bottom 2. And I decided to bet here. I think this is a very dry board, so if I go for a check raise, this could look super strong. So I think more likely I could just get the most value by betting big, flop, turn, and river and try to get the max out of a queen. So that is what I do. I make it $10. Cut off calls. Now the button raises to 58 with a total of 113. So yeah, I just think one move to do here when he put almost half of his stack. I just don't think he's folding, so I rip it all in. The cutoff snap calls for $150 that I was definitely not expecting, and so does the button. He calls for 113, so we're probably gonna have to fade a few hands. Cutoff shows pocket kings, so no queen, no king. Turn is a 5. River is a 10. So we're good against the pocket kings, and the button shows queen deuce off. So definitely a big bind special that gets us in the green, $108. And after this, those 2 players decide to leave. So the table breaks. So let's rack up and head over to the new 1-3 and jump right into the first hand. We buy the blinds to not have to wait, and we don't get the prettiest welcome since the first hand is 9 deuce off, 7-6 off, but the next one is good. Ace 10 suited in the cutoff. Button straddle is going on. There's 3 limpers, so once again, let's make it big. I make it $40, and only the hijack calls, so heads up to a flop. Flop is very pretty. 5, ace 4, top pair, 10 kicker. When he checks ace high boards, I do have a strategy that I bet really big or check. And my medium strength hands that I think this one definitely could fall in that, because 10 kicker, I wouldn't go for 3 seats of value most likely, depending on the run out, because I definitely think the hijack could be limp calling, especially with the straddle going on with pretty decent strong hands, ace jack, even ace queen, because this is 1-3, and people get a little tight when the straddle is going on. Of course, you could have 5-4, ace 5, ace 4. So anyways, the plan's to check back. I think it do streets of value. So as the plan, I check back. Turn is beautiful. It's a 10. So now we have top 2. And we see good news when he bets. He makes it $40. And raising here definitely look really strong. That maybe honestly should have been the plan in the moment, since if he has a draw, there's a lot of flush draws and straight draws. He may still call, but in the moment I do decide just to call and slow play my hand. River is a king. That brings in the flush, so not the best, but he does check. And when the flush comes in, I would have sized bigger if it hadn't, but when it does come in, I do want to get called, so I'm not going to get too greedy. I make it $90, but sadly no more value to get since he does let it go. Very next hand, we got pocket 8s and a low jack. Under the gun makes it $10, and yeah, against early position, just happy calling here. That is what I do. Now the hijack makes it 20, and if that wasn't enough, the button makes it 120. So when it folds to me, even though pocket 8s are very pretty, I'm not calling a call 4-bet. So I do let it go. 8-5 off, 5-6 suited, but another on 1, button straddle, under on limps, which is way more shallow. That makes these small suited connectors, especially in early position, I don't think it's the most profitable, so I do just let it go. 7-4 off, 4 deuce off, 9-6 off, and now we're on the button with ace 10 off. I make it $12, and both the small blind and big blind call. Flop is decent, jack 10 deuce, middle pair, ace kicker, and checks to me 3 ways. So my middle pair, I decided to check back, turn is nice, and ace. Now the big blind bet's $15, and on to me. And yeah, once again, this seemed like a spot that I raised. It looks super strong, and we may be behind. I mean, it's the big blind, so it could be pretty wide. So for the most part, I feel pretty good. But just raising looks so strong here, I just didn't want him to fold out of his hands. So once again, I do decide just to call with my 2 pair. Other player folds. River is not the best. Once again, it's a king. So now any queen is a straight. He checks, and yeah, maybe too thin, but I thought my 2 pair was good here, and maybe I get called if I bet really small. So I make it 1/4 of a pot, $15, but once again, they just let it go. Feel free to let me know in the comments what you would have done in these few spots. I am trying to try new stuff out, like maybe in this spot when I'm going through hands that I fold. Just talking a little bit, since I did get a few comments just saying, you know, you don't need to tell us every hand you fold. And anyways, we do get called our table for the promotion. Let's see if we can finally win one on the vlog. We get a king of diamonds, so looking great. We just got to fade any other king or ace, but another player does get a king of spades that is better than diamonds since it goes in alphabetical order. So no promo for us. King 3 off, ace 3 off, 8 deuce off. Now in the small blind with 8-7 suited. 1 limper, but it makes it $15. And proper pre-flop, I should be 3-betting here, but in the moment I do just call. Big blind now makes it $50, and the limper and button fold. Yeah, I said I never double flat, and here we are once again, just $35 with a pretty good hand. Let's double flat. That is not optimal play for sure, but here we are again. I do call, and we get rewarded for a bad play. Flop is 3-8-8. We flop trips. Let's go. I check, and he just rips it all in for $140. So of course, I flick in the call. Turns a 4. River is a 5. And I already showed him that I had trips, and he just mucks that. I mean, pretty certain. 3 bets pre-flop, and then rips it all in over bet jam on a flop. He just has some overpair. Aces, kings, maybe queens. And with that, we are running pretty good, up over $400. So let's go. Let's keep it going with ace 7 off, 6-3 off, 7-5 off, 5-4 off, and now an under and 2 with pocket 7s. I made $12 with a low jack, hijack, and big blind call. And we are running very good. Flop 7 king 6 middle set second nut super multi-way. Somebody checks to me, so multi-way. Someone probably has a king, so let's bet on a bigger side, try to get money in already against those. I make it $30 and we do get some action since the big blind calls. Turn is absolutely beautiful. A 6. So now we have a full house. And now I didn't want to bet too big. I want to bet a size that he'd still call with his straight draws that are dead and his kings that he can maybe have plenty that aren't strong kickers. And if he has a strong hand himself and I bet small, very likely he'll check raise. If he does have a 6, I didn't think he had too many calling the big blind, calling with bottom pair when I bet so multi-way, but maybe if he was really sticky and he has that, he could be check raising, and like that we get straight draws to call, kings to call, and we could try to get 3 streets of value from those. So I make it $55. And we see the absolutely amazing news when he check raises us to 195. That is almost half of his stack. And yeah, this is just a dream because I mean, I basically have the nuts because, again, apart from pocket sixes, that is one combo that he didn't check raise on the flop. But anyways, let's not even think about that. If he has that, he has it. We're just loving life here, and I'm not jamming. There's no purpose for that. If I jam, it'll just look really strong, and we get it in pretty easily on the river anyway. So I do flick in a call. River, there wasn't many bad rivers, but this one, a 6. What in the world is this river? He rips it all in for $237, and I was really hating this because, I mean, I really just thought he was check raising here with a 6 because we're playing 1-3. People almost never bluff here. So maybe, you know, if I was playing more of an aggressive game, straight draws came in, flush draws are there, so maybe he's checking with some combo draw. But this is 1-3. I just never see that, and it just looks like he has quads. So I just go into the tank. I tell him I have pocket 7s, and he says that they're no good. And players don't usually lie for the most part. I see them that they're honest, but the more I think about it, I go back to the flop and I bet big super multi-way. I didn't think it was going to be calling too often with a 6. It would have to be more like king 6, 7, 6, and I'm blocking 7, 6, and king 6. I think he's mostly just calling with the suited versions from the big blind, and that is just one combo of king 6. So when I just have to be good like a quarter of the time, since his jam was about a little under half pot, what are you going to do? If he has quads, he have quads. I do flick in the call. And we hear the amazing news that he says that I'm good, so I do show, and he mucks. So, I mean, props for him for finding a bluff here. That was a pretty good spot. He just got very unlucky that I had the top of my range with my full house because he check raises that turn. I'm most likely just folding my king because people usually just don't bluff in these 1-3 game. But thankfully, we had a full house and we will scoop it. And that brings us up $892. So this session is going amazing. Let's keep it going. Queen 5 off, 10-4 off, ace 5 off, 10-5 suited, 9-5 off. And now we got ace 9 suited in the hijack. I make it $12 and everybody folds. Very next hand, we got king 10 off and a big blind. Button makes it $10. Small blind calls. And definitely good enough to defend, especially against the button. So I do call flop. 5 king ace. So middle pair. Checks out the button who checks back. Turn is a 3 though. So any club is a flush. The small blind bet's $10. I just let it go. King 8 suited. Now we're in the button with pocket 4s. Under than 2 makes it $15. Cut off calls. And let's set mine. I call. Small blind calls. King high board with no 4. So when the cutoff it's $45, I just let it go. Jack 3 off, 8-5 off, queen 5 off, and 9-6 off.
All right, what a run we're having in the 1-3. Sets crazy hands and weird spots that I usually don't have. So this is definitely a way wackier session than the majority. Usually sessions are like this. I've probably seen in previous vlogs. And yeah, I got kind of shit from the table for taking so long before calling with the pocket 7s. But I mean, it is what it is. If I'm putting a guy on a hand and then he hits it, if I was putting mostly on 6s and 6s or quads, I'm usually against all the hands I put him on because honestly, people don't bluff that often in 1-3. So it just really looked like he had quads. But yeah, at the end of the day, for the little bit that was behind, and especially because I don't know how many 6s call a flop, that's what really just kind of got me realizing when I started thinking it through, like how many 6s does he have that's calling that big size on the flop apart from king 6. and I'm blocking 7-6, and it wouldn't check raise those a lot. So yeah, altogether, thank God, that would have been I definitely would have got me tilted if I folded that. And as well, he watches the content. I'm pretty sure he said he watches the vlog, so that I think bumps up sometimes the aggression towards me. So yeah, feeling great. Got to catch up with the notes because so much has been going on. But yeah, we still got 2 more hours. So I just focus and end the month strong.
We come back to the game in the big blind. Just forgot to miss that one. It was a bad hand that we folded. And now we got a pretty one. Ace queen off in the small blind. Those 2 limpers. Cut up makes it $17. And this is definitely a 3-bet spot. Just again in 1-3. When players make it a big size that is $17, I do get a little cautious since it looks like a premium. So I do just flick in a call. Big blind and limpers call. So super multi-way to a 6, queen, 3. Checks around, turn is at 7. Big blind bets $20 and everybody folds. 10-7 off, 10-3 suited, king 5 off. Now we got ace 10 suited under and 2. I make it $12. Low jack and hijack calls. Now that cutoff makes it 40, which is $100 behind. Folds to me, and yeah, really not loving his spot again because people never 3-bet, and he just has $100 behind. Maybe if you're deep enough, I definitely would call if he was at least 100 big blinds deep with a suited ace and he's getting a good price, but again, we're just $100 behind. I just not loving it, so I do just let it go. Queen jack off, 10-6 off, 10-8 off. Now we got ace jack suited in the small blind under than 2, makes it $15. And against early position, I decide just to call. Big blind folds. Heads up the flop. That is kind of promising. 7, queen, king. We got a gut shot to the nuts, a backdoor flush draw, and an overcard. So when I check, and he bets $15. I think my ace may be good here sometimes, and we got plenty good turn cards for the include giving us the nuts. So I do flick in a call. Turn is not one of those though. It's an 8. You see the good news though. When I check, he checks back. We get another chance to hit the nuts, but we do not. It's another king. That not the worst or the best. I think my ace high may be good here, and I don't know if I'm going to get a queen to fold when top pair pairs. So I do check. He bets $40 and I let it go. Queen 9 off, and now we see the beautiful pocket aces. I make it $12 and get a cut off and button to call. Flop, pretty good considering 9-8 deuce. So pretty safe apart from 9-8, pocket 9s and pocket 8s. Out of position, I do check. Checks around. Turn is an ace. So now we have the nuts top set. But this was an interesting spot since if I bet here, it just looks like I have an ace. And I think I'm going to get most things to fold. And if they have the last ace of the deck, I do think they'll bet themselves. So I do check. But sadly, once again, it checks around. River, pretty good. Again, it's a 9. So now we have a full house. Second nuts like that other hand. But whatever, pocket 9s, they never have here after checking twice. And after checking 2 times, let's just bet massive. Maybe they were just trying to get showdown with a 9, or they won't believe me with an 8 or a weak ace. I make it $50, but beautiful hand, but no action since they do just let it go. Queen 5 off, queen 6 off, jack 10 off, queen 7 off, and that is it. So definitely an amazing last day for the month. Pretty nice ending this series like this with another win, 3 in a row. So little nice run for the vlogs. I did decide to end this session early, but we will talk about that in a few moments. For now, let's just rack up, cash out, and talk about the session. Alright, that was an amazing session, up $820, very short. Usually I play a lot longer. This average between 6 and 7 hour sessions, but today was a little under 4. I was going to play 5 hours, but honestly I just wasn't feeling it. I'm not like I'm on tilt because I ran really well, but I just wasn't loving how I was playing. I don't know why, what the cause is. Maybe it's the end of the month, I just want to book a win because I'm filming. I don't know, some reason or another, I just don't feel like I'm playing my best, so I'm just going to call it early. That's part of the game too. It doesn't happen often. Usually I just always play the hours that I had planned, but hey, just going to listen to how I feel and call it early, and still an amazing win for 1-3. And definitely nice since I lost about that on Saturday. I mean on Friday playing 2-5, that I ran pretty bad. So yeah, thank you all. you all for watching. Next video is going to be a recap of this month and talk a little about it. And on to the next series. I don't know what it is at the moment, but hopefully it's not about going broke. And as usual, thank you all for watching. If you could like, subscribe, and comment. Always talking about hands, and I'll see you guys in the next video.